What's going on? This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today's chapter is with Christian Jones from 4am. It's a clothing brand and a clothing store. Store is located up by the stadiums, one Spokane Stadium and the Spokane Arena. Easy to find. Just look up 4am. You'll find them. They all over Instagram doing their thing. And really been a force since they opened their doors. So we're going to get into it. I got to meet Christian briefly. One time I went up to the store, chopped it up with him. Felt like we just connected on some real talk. And, this brother's out here really doing some things. So it's only right he comes on the podcast.
Yes,
man.
sir.
What's up, Christian?
What's good, man? What's good?
How you doing today, brother?
I'm great. I cannot complain, bro.
Sun shining.
Yeah.
A little bit more of that Texas weather for you. A little bit.
1,000%. Yeah, you know the vibe. For
Yes,
sure.
sir.
1,000%.
Yeah, man, let's get straight up into it. What is 4am? What is it to you? Why'd you start it?
I started the brand after I stopped playing football, and I was really finding myself in a way. Honestly, my identity was definitely like found in football at that time, and it's actually like crazy to think about it. Like looking back, it's almost like embarrassing, that I was like that I was so like wrapped up as an individual, like in sports, to be real. And man, I remember I was driving to my dad's house, and I knew that I wanted to start a brand, but I couldn't think of the name. And I was, as I'm driving to my dad's house, I'm just like thinking about just the reference points throughout my life. And 4am is just always something that stuck out to me. Like my dad, when I was growing up, he was the hardest working person that I knew. Like I thought that people that were successful, they got lucky. I didn't know that, it takes like a colossal amount of work ethic and belief and confidence and courage. And, just through his work ethic from when we would go like visit him in Houston, and obviously, like my other family members and parents as well. But, that time just taught me so many lessons growing up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to call my brand 4am. And that's all she wrote.
What, like, specifically, why'd you choose 4am, though? Because of the time? Like, obviously, it's to do with
it was
time.
because of the time and what it resonated with, like, with me. For me, like, it just made me realize, like, I actually have a picture I can show you of the first time me and my brother went and ran with my dad at 4am. So we always used to go to this park. If you listen to this and you live in Houston or you've been in Houston, you know about Memorial Park. We used to go there. One time around is 3 miles. So we'd go there at like 3:30, 3:45, get there at 4. And we ran like 3 miles around and took a picture. Sorry, what you asked me? The original question?
4am, like, why specifically that time?
Oh, yeah, why specifically that time? Yeah, I mean, so that's just the time that he, like, went and ran every day. And then the more and more that I got to see behind the curtain and I got to meet, I guess you could say, like, colossally successful people, I realized that they were all just, like, super extreme people that, like, it's just like when you run across someone that is, like crazy enough to wake up at 3:30 and go run, that person is not like, that's not just a random, that doesn't feel like the same interaction as you have with like someone that, for lack of a better term, is like stuck in the matrix. You know what I mean? And, and I just realized that, like if I want to do something different and if I want to, leave a mark or, be the vessel that God called me to be, that I need to be willing to do extreme things. Like I can't look at people and, and compare myself to people that are not doing anything when, like obviously I'm seeing like what's going on behind the curtain and seeing like what true success takes. And I mean, it's, you definitely gotta go through some stuff and definitely gotta, you can't be afraid to grab at those skinny branches,
Right.
type vibe for sure.
So the fact that your dad wakes up at 4am and runs, that was like a pinnacle of like that
For
time.
sure, yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah,
ever since
so-
I was like 9 or 10, like sports is just so big for us in Texas, and then us being from like really, I guess you could say, like the hood, for lack of a better term. Like it was really like sports or like be a teacher or a preacher, or you was just like doing street stuff.
Right.
So for me, like to see my dad, who owned is a successful entrepreneur, for me to see him like doing that and just like thriving, literally like I'm going out there and I'm seeing him have his way, like I'm like, oh, okay, like this is what it takes to get what you want to do, like you really gotta like you really gotta like put an insane amount of time in. Like you really gotta like give everything that you had to this. Like this isn't just, like this can't just be a hobby. Like this can't just be something that, like that you kind of believe in. Like you really have to be your own diehard fan of yourself for this to work out. So
That's facts.
yeah,
Man.
and that's
You
like
can't have no
Yeah.
doubt, bro. Really.
yeah, and that's really what
Or at least
really
you can't
what
let
4
doubt have any
means.
hold. Like
Yeah,
it can be
no,
there,
not
but you
at
move
all.
past it every time.
Yeah, not at all, bro. I actually like, I mean, to be real, bro, I actually like kind of talk to myself in a sense, like go out of my way to make sure that I'm around people that see the same light in me that I see, because it's like I can't be around people that like don't see things how I see it, because like that's damaging to my vision. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
No, it makes 100%
yeah.
sense, bro. Like, yeah, it's funny how who you spend time with, how it really forms you as a person. Like, there's
1,000%.
like you hear that saying all the time. You are who you hang out with, kind of stuff. But like, not really. Like, you are that. You know what I mean? And so, for me, over some years now, I really separated myself from most people. I don't spend time with most people because it's hard to find those individuals that really want to lift you up, you know what I mean, and believe in you and really, be uplifting for the dreams, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, a majority of the world is let go of their dreams, you know what I mean? And
1,000%.
and there's, this world's, it's hard. It's stacked against your dreams, really, in a lot of ways, but it's also formed in a lot of ways, too. I mean,
Yeah.
the perspective and your experience and all those different things kind of add into why you may give up on them or whatnot. But
Yeah,
in
the
your
only way to
upbringing-
lose is to stop, though, and I don't think like a lot of people like understand that. Like the journey is like truly the gift. Like I've been inside of 4 a.m. in our 2 years crying tears of sadness. I've been at 4 a.m. and by myself crying tears of joy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a part of the journey. And I heard someone say you never arrived, you're always becoming. And I just keep that in mind as I continue my journey, and like good things happen, or maybe something happens where it's perceived as a step back, like it's just still about like getting up, dusting myself off, and just continuing to take one step in front of the other, so
yeah, I think that is really probably the number one key to finding success in your life is just the resiliency, not giving up. Because like on the pursuit of becoming great or whatnot, it is hard. That's why most people do give up, because it doesn't, for most people, work out to, it doesn't really happen very easily.
yeah.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of pain.
Facts.
And you get those moments that do reward you and remind you that, yeah, this is why I do this. This is why I chose this. But, understanding there's a lot of moments that come with it that really break you, whatever you want to call it, the resistance, the devil, whatever that is trying to withhold you from accomplishing said goals, And like, I think we were off camera, but, we were talking about who said it was going to be easy. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
You're Christian based, religious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're talking about it wasn't easy for Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, A lot of people wanted to destroy his efforts and did ultimately in some aspect, which he superseded them with his life and the way he lived in
Yeah.
the history that was written about him. But and I, of course, in the religious context, he's still here. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and I mean
So,
it's really just kind of like the law of averages in a way, to be real, to just kind of like dumb it down. It's just like if you have a set amount of followers, like, bruh, everybody not looking at you to see you succeed. Like it just is what it is. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like if 110 people looked at our page in the last 30 days, like, bruh, some of them love it, some of them like it, some of them hate it. It just
I
like
saw
it's just a part of life. Like we're all looking at the same thing and we're viewing it differently. Like
totally.
you're from Spokane?
Yeah, I was born in Denver, moved up here when I was 6.
Yeah.
Man.
So
So
like we
grew up
have
in
different
Medical
reference
Lake.
points. So
Oh,
if I'm looking
totally.
at something and you're looking at something, our assessments of it are gonna be different. Like, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But also too, like, if you live for the cheers, you'll die by the booze. So I'm cool regardless,
Yeah,
personally,
I'm like
I appreciate the
actually
feed forward either
pretty.
way. For real, for real.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Like one, honestly, like when I have people doubt or hate on me, like that actually gives me more fuel than the people that be like, yo, bro, you doing good. Like, I actually prefer motherfuckers to be hating a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like, I understand, and my life has taught me, one, a lot of what you said is like, yo, everybody that acts like they with you or your friends, like they're not. And there's a lot of jealousy that comes into all of this stuff, especially when you're a person that steps out into the light
For
and steps into
sure.
your light. You know what I mean? There's a lot of darkness in the world that don't want the light to shine. And that can come through and be used through your friends or whatever that case may be. But like I heard a stand up the other day talking about like, yeah, you got people following you, like you're talking like on Instagram, whatever, that are like actually just following you to see you fuck up, to see
Yeah.
you fail, just to be
On
like,
God.
you know what I mean? Just wanna
It be
see
like
you
that.
fucking fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's the
it be
only
like
reason
that.
they following you, just to see the moment you fail or some shit like
Yeah,
that.
you can't even subscribe to that though. I'm so big on just like not even paying attention to stuff. Like, and we talk about it a lot in the shop. Just obviously like having a platform where you're posting stuff, and like people get to like comment on it, and basically like let you know how they feel about what you just posted. And it's not nice all the time. But again, if you live for the cheers, you'll die by the booze. So like we just look at it as like comments, like we think it's funny. You know what I mean? Like you just really like can't take that stuff serious, especially just like being a person in the arena. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it's so hard just to hop off the porch. You know what I mean? There's so many people that are afraid to get in the game of life. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm not I'm just not subscribing to somebody that, I mean, they're not in my shoes, So it just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, based on like stoicism and stuff, like the whole premise of being a man is not to be affected by those that cheer for you or those that are against you. You
Yeah.
stay even, you know what I mean? And that kind of context is through all ancient scripts of what it looks like to be a real true man. It's you don't ride the highs and you don't get down on the lows, It's like you just ride them out and stay in that space where kind of like what you said, is choosing to know that there's blessings in all of it, but to not let it affect your ego as best as you can or whatever. So
No, 1,000%.
yeah, and as much as like my like assertive aggressive side is like, it's not like I want to welcome negativity into my life, like I want haters or anything like that, but it's just also the aspect of when those kinds of things from good or the bad side of it happen, it is going to affect you in some way. And ultimately, you do get to choose how you're going to react. And so, through my experiences, it's just trying to stay focused on my mission and not it turning into proving anybody wrong or doing this because now I got people that are cheering for me to keep going, like those aspects play a part, but ultimately it comes down to who I am and what I'm trying to do in this life. And the people that want to support it or hate on it, that's for them. You know what I mean? But yeah, I try to stay as best as I can within my own world of why I do what I do, not for
Yeah.
anybody else.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Likewise, like yeah, I'm really big on obviously, just like you just said, and just like not letting like anything like that like get in my head, especially like, I mean, I really feel such a responsibility to just like what I feel like supposed to be doing here as far as like kind of reviving pop culture in a way, and just getting better, like as a store, as a business owner, in my relationships, just as a human being, like I feel like, I mean, I have so many people out here that depend on me. Like I'm not about to let a couple people or anything like that, like dictate what I'm doing or try to dim my light, Yeah, that's definitely that's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that, whatever they call it, real ones, whatever, those are the lessons that we have to go through and learn, to get to that chosen ones, whatever. Because I don't know. I don't want to separate, anybody from people, but you talked about earlier about like hacking out the matrix, you know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
certain individuals that you can see they don't really conform by the standard societal demands or
Yeah.
structure, right? And that's kind of like, to me, one aspect of breaking out the matrix is like you live your life in an unconventional manner. Like against all odds, you're going to live the way you want to live, even though there's easier routes, but you kind of lose your soul in that. And it's not to say too, like go on your own path, like that it's going to affect and wear on your soul, your spirit, because it takes a lot to go off and build your own thing. I actually just watched The Matrix last week.
Okay.
And even after Neo takes the pill, like he's out the Matrix, he still doesn't even believe he's the one. He's
Yeah.
already been out
No,
he's
facts.
still struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if you are somebody that kind of taps outside the Matrix, it doesn't mean like you just enlightened rolling around like
For
you got it all
sure.
figured out. There's still a lot of challenges of operating outside of the Matrix. And like, in fact, that guy that wanted to go back, he hated being out the Matrix. He's like, I don't want to be out the Matrix. I want to be back in it. I'm
Yeah.
willing to betray this whole cause to get back to it because this shit's hard. It's too difficult for me.
Yeah.
Mentally, I can't take it. So he'd rather go back, And so I think that individuals like you coming up from Texas and doing your thing in a way that, I haven't really seen a store in your demographic have the hold that it does. It's just like you guys are kind of, I guess, a disruptor in a good way. You know what I mean? Not in a negative, from my perspective, a good way.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess too, you mentioned on it, like why did you do this in Spokane? Why did you come from because you were born in Texas?
Yeah.
What is the story in short for people that don't know why you moved up here and you started 4 a.m. here?
Yeah, so my little brother played basketball at Gonzaga from 2015 to 2019, and I used to come out here and visit him a lot. We're like 18 months apart, so we're almost like twins
Irish
in a way.
twins,
Yeah,
almost, yeah.
yeah. Like my first time, in high school going to a party was his first time going to a party. Like one of those type of deals. And every time I came out here, I would, and I would meet new people, and I would like meet the different kids that went to Gonzaga, and man, I was just like, yo, like they could use a store like the store that just opened in San Antonio that we all go to. It was called the Vaulty. Shout out to the Vaulty. And I had a really good relationship with I still do have a really good relationship with the owners at the Vaulty. And I had already started my clothing brand 4 a.m. at the time while my brother was on the team at Gonzaga. And I was able to have my clothes inside of their store. And their store is like essentially like, so their store opened in around probably 2015, 2014. And they had like San Antonio in a chokehold. Like that was like our introduction. Y'all do vintage at a super high level out here. That was like our introduction to like vintage. Like the type of store that I have was like our intro to vintage as a whole. We more so have, for y'all's like Goodwill bins, we have like flea markets, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Down in Texas. And but yeah, so I was able to have a conversation with them about, like, how much does it cost to open up a store like this? Like, how long did it take for y'all to get a return on y'all's investment? Like, what was it worth it? Like, and I was just like, man, like, if I'm able to do this in like Spokane, like it'll just be able to give Spokane a whole nother look. And I was just thinking about like the amount of people that I could impact if I did it, and how it would almost be like kind of like history in a way, the fact that all the kids here they've been forced to like get stuff online and, be forced to like deal with, just the stuff you had to deal with on like Facebook Marketplace and different stuff like that, and yeah, bro, I was just like determined. I almost feel like like God called me collect to come out here, just from like my brother playing. I had these connections to Gonzaga, I have a lot of friends out here, in a way like an untapped market. I was like, man, like I went to fashion school, like I'm like, yo, I'm the person to do this, like, yeah, just
Where'd you go to fashion school at?
I went to school at the Art Institute in Houston. Yeah, nice. It was cool. It was fun. I learned a lot, just about like fashion history and stuff like that. I really like told myself after I stopped playing football, like I was like, bro, like you need to challenge yourself to know fashion like football. And I play quarterback, so it's like you know your defenses, your fronts, like like different stances and different like all that different type of stuff. So yeah, I just challenged myself to really like dig into fashion of like who created football, like where did fashion and clothes and design start, what I mean, and just kind of like went from there. Yeah.
What about like Spokane, the city itself? Like, what were some of the aspects of like you really seeing this being a place that you'd want to be and building? Like as a city as a whole, like what were some of the vibes, some of the things you really liked about here?
Yeah, man. Honestly, everybody here, when I would come out here to visit my brother, everybody here was just so nice. Honestly, like everybody was so nice and kind and authentic, and I just felt like I could just be myself, and that's a beautiful thing. Gonzaga literally puts fam and family, like they go out of their way to make you feel comfortable. When I would visit here, every time I would leave, I didn't want to leave, and then when I got here, they went above and beyond, even Coach Michelson, like his wife even helped me with like the design of the store, like, oh, well, like you could put like the checkout counter here and, like then, like put most of your stuff like over here. And, and I mean, obviously like that means the world, and it definitely made it easier for me to be out here for sure. So, yeah.
That's cool, man. How long have you been in Spokane now then?
I think like 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's flying by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was in Houston yesterday.
How do you think the city has grown in the 3 years you've been here? What changes have you seen that have been positive?
Honestly, I see more black people.
Yeah. That's good, man.
which it's like kind of crazy. Like I'll just be driving and I like look up and I just see like some black dudes walking down the street. I'd be like, dang, like that's crazy. Like where they from? You know, they can't be from here. Like, but yeah, I mean, just like the diversity is cool. And just like the growth of the city, just the open mindedness. I just love like I'm a relationship like junkie. Like I love meeting people, talking to people, you know, just getting to know people and stuff like that. So just the growth, you know, and yeah, like I mean, that's like pretty much it for the most part. Just the city continuing to grow, like meeting people, like we were just talking about before, meeting people that just moved here from Florida or moved here from Texas or moved here from Georgia, you know, and they be, you know, like cool, like thorough people. And, you know, now like kind of like what we're doing now, like with my background and your background, we get to meet and vibe and fellowship and, you know, and iron sharpens iron, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, man. I love that aspect too, the town growing in that way. I welcome it. You know, some
facts.
people are on some.
It's beautiful. It's
some
beautiful.
Other aspects, but for me, I love it because I've always felt like more worldly of a person than what had Spokane traditionally had offered.
Yeah.
But like with homies like yourself coming in, I'm like, I can easily connect with a homie like you because we have aspects of seeing things at full potentials.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
Like we like, oh, where can we take this?
Yeah. And facts. And not to cut your wisdom short, but
good.
like for like anybody that's like listening, like Spokane is so close to like being like everything that you're leaving Spokane to go do. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, how can Spokane get closer to that? Like, look no further than yourself. For real. You know, it's like, obviously, you know, this like Spokane sucks moniker is, you know, like been a thing, you know, like for a while. But I mean, for me, like I always tell people, it's like, yo, like, why do you want to go to Houston? Why do you want to go to Phoenix? Why do you want to go to LA? It's because of the creative business owners. It's because like in the context of this conversation, you can go to Houston, you can go to a place and have lamb chops and shrimp and then a couple drinks. And then later on that night, be sitting in the same seat and smoke some hookah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the environment is giving you a reason to stay. So like if somebody, we're all creatives. We're all creative in our own way. So it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna put your mind to breathe life into this city? You know what I mean? Because I'm just like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like I'm not nobody, you know, like special or had, you know, some esoterical type of help to open a store. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, it's available. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think Spokane is definitely blossoming and coming into its own in a lot of different ways. You know, I've been here for a long time and I've seen the town go through a lot of different phases. It's really in a great phase right now. And, you know, the city has, as far as making the park downtown, like Riverfront, they really put a lot of money into that thing.
For real? Yeah, it's lit.
I mean, that thing is
vibrant.
Beautiful now.
Yeah.
Like you walk through there, it's a vibe.
It's
what
vibrant.
they did to the pavilion, just putting the lights on it, like that changed the whole vibe of that whole park.
Yeah.
Like in a big way. You know, that pavilion wasn't really sexy before the lights were on it. It was there, you know what I mean? But now it's sexy.
It is.
It's
nah,
dope.
what?
It's
yeah,
like, what? This shit's crazy looking. Like, and then they're putting concerts under it. Like, there's some real creative geniuses that really put their minds together on how they could make this city a better place.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that before.
Yeah.
You know, the park definitely did not have those type of vibes at all. You know, at one point, it was kind of sketchy in the park.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like you don't feel...
you definitely feel safe.
You feel safe in the park.
Yeah.
And so it's really.
It's definitely. I
Except
mean,
I seen a raccoon in there the other night. I was like, he was going crazy.
oh wait, but yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's really all about just, man, bro, just like belief. Cause like I know I've told you this before. Just being from San Antonio, like we're really like little bro to Houston and Dallas. My entire life, if you're in Houston and someone asks you where you from, it's like you're in Seattle and someone's like, oh, like where are you from? And you gotta tell them Spokane. Or San Antonio. It's like, dang, like you low key from like
Spokane is to Seattle, San Antonio is to
Houston or Dallas. Yeah, for sure. But it's like, like in the context of this conversation, like San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the country. Like, what are we thinking that it is? Like this place is small, or we can't accomplish what we want to accomplish out of here. You know what I mean? And same thing in Spokane. It's like, just off of the simple fact that Gonzaga is here, we have the possibility of being mainstream. So it's just belief. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just belief.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga has been internally for Spokane definitely a great sense of pride for the city. But I feel like Gonzaga has kind of an exclusive vibe unless you're in it, and so because you can't just go to their games if you want to.
Facts.
Like, that's kind of like shitty for us, as a whole, as a city. It's like, yeah, we have to watch them on TV. They don't.
Do you think that plays a role in like the little like I mean, I know that like you hear like the little like light little like hate that be going on around like, oh, like they're not gonna win it this year, like they never win it, like it's
for
like,
sure.
yo, like do you think that's part of it? That's crazy. I never even thought about that.
And I love what Gonzaga does, but like it's not Spokane Zags. It's Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They have their own little world that's really exclusive within Spokane. And I think there's some things they do on a major level to help Spokane. I'm not saying they don't.
No, that's fair. Like, not to cut your wisdom short, but like when I would come visit here, I thought that area was Spokane.
Right.
Like, I did not know that most of the people in Spokane live north, but go ahead. Yeah.
And so I just think that as much as like, and I think there's some changes with this. Obviously, when Gonzaga really started doing well, that brought a lot of pride into the city. When they started back to back being in the Sweet 16s and all that.
Yeah.
And that's dope. We should be proud of that. But as a whole, I feel like Gonzaga could rep Spokane harder. That's my perspective of what I've seen them do so far.
Yeah.
And like I said, it just feels closed off. You know what I mean? Like, they do things where the city is welcome to the campus, but like as far as the number one attraction they got, it's closed off.
Yeah.
You can't get in that shit. And that's like an elitist kind of feel to it. Like, yeah, we in Spokane, but like not all of Spokane can come do and be a part of what we're doing. But if you in with the Zags, if you do got those season tickets, if you do, like, that's an amazing experience that you getting while living in Spokane.
Yeah.
And you tied in. And so, I don't feel any type of way about it because I'm not a massive sports team fan guy. Like, I don't even watch sports. So, but on a aspect of like the city as a whole, it's like one of the biggest things we have, really, you can't participate in.
Yeah,
but from the outside.
So what a way. This is actually a great conversation. What would be a way for them to make Spokane included? Like, I know that I thought of, and I know that they've done this, I believe, like the last 2 years, but like having a game at Spokane Arena, obviously, is a way. But what other ways do you think that they could get the community more involved? I mean, because obviously, like, unless they did extreme renovations, you
That's
can't
what
really
I'm
make
saying.
McCarthy bigger.
Yeah, I really am probably not qualified to answer those questions, as far as like how they've built up such a successful college.
And it's a private school
It's
too.
private.
Just like
There's
like I
certain
feel like most
things-
private schools kind of have like
it's what it is.
Yeah, it's like University of Houston or Rice. It's like you go
Right.
to Rice, you probably feel like a little,
Right.
you know, like I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. Opposed to University of Houston, it's just wide open. You know,
Yep.
like type of vibe.
And the thing is like I understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But as far as like putting on for Spokane as a whole, it has just like kind of a separated identity
Yeah.
from Spokane almost in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I think they have their reasons. I don't know. They doing their thing. They making plenty of money
Facts.
doing big things, winning
Yeah.
basketball games, like got a great program. So it adds though to an overall aspect when they do well that we do have something happening in Spokane. Right? Regardless of if you hate them or love them, when they're doing well, when they're getting near the top and competing for that number one spot, regardless of how you felt about them or whatever that is, you still can't help but like, damn, we performing on the national level, and that's good for the city, no matter what.
1,000%.
So
Yeah.
that would be my other big up to him. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to rip him down.
Nah,
or anything.
1,000%. Nah.
But and I've
We
been
all got room to
luckily
grow.
to like one or two games, and it was fun. I had a great time. But I just wish I could go more than having to be invited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Nah, for sure.
I do actually like going to games. You know, and instead of watching it on TV, I don't really watch sports on TV. But going to a game is an experience. It's a night out. It's a vibe. You know.
It is.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, Gonzaga, they got so many season ticket holders. It's hard to get in there.
Yeah.
You know?
But, they did bring you up here, you know what I mean, which has led you down your path to open 4 a.m. Kind of give, I guess, people a more description of what your store is and the products that you sell.
Yeah. I would call it a hype and a vintage store. We sell a lot of vintage, typically around like $25, $30. But then we also sell a lot of hype.
Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but this T-shirt right here is from 4 a.m. I had to rock it today. You know what I'm saying? Got the
something
wolf on
slight.
it. There we
Something
go.
slight. But yeah, we sell a lot of streetwear and hype too, which was really big for me coming in this market. Just not really, there not being really another place in Spokane to get stuff like that. It was really big for me to, for kids in like the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Spokane Valley area to be able to come to a place and see like Supreme and Bape and Chrome Hearts and, like all of these brands that they see on the internet, but they're not able to see in person, and feel in person,
Unless you just buy it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just felt like, there's just too many people on this side of Washington and obviously like me coming from the perspective of like, I know Gonzaga first, like we're talking about, like I know Gonzaga first and then kind of like Spokane second, I feel like that's been advantageous, just because, my taste level just may be a little bit different just being from or moving from the third largest city in the country. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. What do you, what's kind of like, what's the end goal with what you're trying to accomplish with 4 a.m.? Because I know we've talked and, my aspects on city chapters, it's not a clothing brand. It's not a clothing line. It's something that I'm trying to build beyond that. What is like the ethos of 4 a.m. that you're trying to relate to people? What is that kind of end goal of where you're trying to take this thing?
Yeah, it's really like telling a story through product. And for me, that is similar to the story that I just told about my dad and just being just being extreme, whether or not that's waking up at 4 a.m. and running or waking up at 4 a.m. and having to stay up because you have to iron your clothes and then put them on the racks for the morning, and y'all open at 11 and you have 1,000 clothes, and it's going to take 2 or 3 hours to do it. Just really telling that story through clothes, and just continuing to get better, expanding, continuing to create relationships, and really just continue to impact people and be a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go next, my brother? What do you feel are like some of the foundations of being an entrepreneur, owning your own business? Like over these last 3 years, you've had a store, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the biggest lessons?
We just made 2 years, like 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned about business in that time?
Lessons. I have so many, honestly.
Yeah, we can.
I know,
share
like
them all,
the first thing that popped in my head when you said that was just like courage, and there's moments that you have to be a risk taker. There's moments where like you got to know when to hold them, and yeah, but a big one would just be like courage, and then and really just like being able to stay calm, honestly, because stuff is gonna happen, especially when you're working with other people. It's human error. Like, none of us are perfect. You know what I mean? But just being a team player, and just having sympathy and empathy for like every situation. It's more so, I would say, like, just the business is more so kind of like tested what I already knew, and kind of exposed to where I already knew I needed to get better at even more. I definitely think that just overall moving to Spokane and just having a little more time on my hands, just because the city's smaller and not driving as much, and like different stuff like that, you're just like more like one with your problems and one with like how you can improve to be like the best version of yourself. For me.
Yeah, man, I relate.
Yeah.
I always say building a business is building yourself.
Yeah.
Like, when you build a business, or you trying to figure out how to build a business even, because I guess I fluctuate between phases where I'm at in my businesses. Sometimes I'm like, I'm in that hustle mode, and then other times it's about, recovering, regaining that courage, or whatever that is, that hustle mentality. I think, one, for you saying courage is something that hits home with me, especially like right now, because I did just stop working at the Great Pacific Northwest store, Great P&W retail store in Kendall Yards, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Sean, out there, for giving me that opportunity while I was in transition. But it was a transition period. They knew that, and it's like I had to get back to my own full hustle, my own full grind, choose myself again, and it takes courage, like, to make that choice once again. Even though I went 7 years, worked 6 months at this part-time job, it took me getting to a place to choose courage again, to be like, you know what, like, I'm going to choose myself, and I'm going to step back into my own power that I believe I have. I know it's there, and we doing this again, and so it's there's a lot of, like you said, risk taking and different things that you have to go through in pursuing a business or a creative path, because there's a lot of exposure that comes with it too. Whether that exposure is as big as you think it is or not, like, the mind wants to tell you, like, oh, everybody's gonna see you win or fail. But if they see me fail, how does how does that feel? How does that look? And one way I confront that is with this podcast and being brutally honest with where I'm at. Like, nobody can take nothing from me on that stance, because I basically say all that shit that's going on with me right here. You know what I mean? And it's the truth. And I feel in this day and age, the truth is more necessary than anything, where you got a lot of people trying to present
Some
this.
people just lying.
Yeah, like they unfazed and can't be affected, and they just are a machine. Like, nah, you might have built up that discipline to that place where you at now, but I guarantee, even if you are that person right now, you're not always gonna be that person. You're gonna have your days where you fall. You're gonna have those mistakes you're gonna make. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And the truth of the matter, and everything really in life, so that you don't lose yourself and you're not defeated by life, is always to choose having courage, to choose yourself again, to choose to believe in yourself again. And that takes
1,000%.
courage. It takes a lot of courage sometimes.
Yeah, and you really just got to be like a diehard fan of yourself. You know, like I really believe like that. Like how can I expect, you know, like people to be like running in and out of my store all day if I don't love it, if I'm not, you know, like in love with you know, like if I'm just not in a good headspace, you know, like if I'm not loving what I'm doing every day, if I don't have good energy, if I'm, you know, like not ready to go, you know, like how can I expect someone else to believe in me? Because I know, like, I can tell when someone believes in themselves and when they don't, you know, like it's almost like, come on, bro, like you don't even believe in yourself, like, you know. So yeah, nah, I mean, if I feel like if you might as well not even start if you don't got like that. Like it's almost like a delusional belief, you know. Like sometimes I be talking to myself. I'd be like, bro, like you might be a little bit delusional, like how you think about this situation. But you know, again, it's like, shoot, man, like I want. And if I want things to work out to work out the way that I see it, then I had to, you know, I gotta work those things. I gotta work those things, you know. Like I can't let things come in my environment that are not conducive for that, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important to keep your guard up, you know, since you're Christian based, you know, putting on your armor every day.
1,000%.
Yeah. How do you feel that God and your religious beliefs help you in life? Like, what are some of your like core principles, ethos within your Christianity that help you overcome the challenges that you face?
Yeah, for me, it's just like helps me stay grounded. It's just so much going on in this life, and especially from being back home where, you know, like I had all my friends and my family, and you know I'm hanging out with people most of the time that I've been knowing since I was, you know, like 5 years old or 6, 7 years old, you know, to now being in a place I literally couldn't be further away in America, you know, and being by yourself, you know, it can be hard, you know, like you can get to thinking, you know, like, dang, like, is it me, you know, like, am I the problem, you know, but, you know, I feel like just my relationship with God just it just really keeps me grounded and really just like keeps me focused, you know, because there's just a lot going on and, you know, you can get caught up in, you know, I mean, just thinking, you know, like, and, you know, I'm real big on just doing self-work every day, like doing yoga every day. Like I've done yoga twice a day. I don't know how many days in a row right now. And just like doing meditation and just different things to really get closer to that light. You know what I mean? And just make sure that my mind and my spirit is in the right place when I'm moving around.
Do you go to a yoga studio?
Nah, I actually do it at my house. Yeah,
Do you use an
there's an
app
app.
or
Yeah,
which
there's an
one are you
app.
using?
It's called I think the app is called Downward Dog because there's like a dog
Yeah.
on the app, but it has like a meditation side and a yoga side, and
Mm.
you can choose like how difficult, like what type of yoga and how long. And I literally just like
Put it on your TV and just.
yeah. As soon as I wake up in the morning, yeah, I
think I
got
know
a yoga mat sitting in my living room
somebody
and
else
just
on the
knock that
show
out
does that same has done that same thing or
for
does that
real.
same thing, and I like each time I'm like I definitely, for me, like with running a lot and working out a lot, I know I need way more stretching in my life.
Yeah.
My body like be feeling it, at
Yeah,
35 I be
nah, for
feeling
sure.
different, man,
Nah, it's
after hitting
real.
it
It's
hard.
real.
you
And
know
then for me, honestly, I mean, you want to talk about like being brutally honest. Like my thing the last like month, the last like 2 months has been like not having great days, regardless of how good like the store is doing or how well like the things I'm working on, how well I'm progressing in those things, like those things of more like material, you know what I mean? And just like running towards that treasure, like what do I do every day that has, like what do I do every day that I don't like need anything like outside forces that constitutes to me having a great day, and like those things are like yoga, running, reading, just like doing those type of things. It just like makes my spirit feel whole, honestly, and
Reading, running, or working out, those are huge for me too,
yeah.
man, to make me feel completed in a day. Yeah.
Yeah, so just like focusing on those things and I mean obviously, like working diligently in my business and doing what I can to be as successful as possible in my business, because I moved out here to be the best that I can be, but also as well understanding that that's not who I am. It's just a part of like what I do.
Practicing detachment. Yeah. It's a good reminder for me. I've definitely dived down those paths of like spiritual understanding and practicing detachment, letting go. We have that phrase, let go. And like even just saying it to yourself when you're like too wrapped up in something, just like let it go, let it go. Like you can just feel that pressure release. And yeah, there's different aspects that I think for me, I am coming back to a place of detachment, which ultimately allows me to show up in a fuller way for what I'm trying to accomplish. It seems backwards, but it's not, It's
Yeah.
like the more you let go of a lot of those attachments that we create and make into something really bigger than a lot of times it needs to be, works against you. It drains your energy or however you want to look at it. But
It's crazy. It's actually kind of like I just thought about this. It's almost like the difference between playing not to lose or like playing to win, because it's like if you're playing the game of life, for lack of a better term, like we're talking about with like a more like detachment, or you just like running towards what makes your spirit feel good, then I mean it's like at the end of the day, like you're just doing what you're doing, and then like you look down and it's like, oh dang, like I've been working out every day, like I've been doing yoga every day, I've been reading, I've been, like collecting all this knowledge, and the fruit of that looks how it looks, opposed to like playing not to lose, and you're like, oh, I gotta go to sleep at 10. I gotta wake up at 3:45. I gotta go running at 4. And if I don't do that, then I'm a failure. And then if I'm a failure, then and it's just like bro, like you're gonna die anyway, bruh. Like you can't take none of this stuff with you regardless, bruh. Like
yeah,
just have fun, like keep God first. You know what I'm saying? Like connect with your people and yeah.
it's good wisdom, man. What are some of your favorite books?
Man, I had a feeling that this was gonna come up today. I actually just read probably like the fastest read I've ever like read. I just read what's the name of it? What If It Was You All Along by Russ, the artist,
Yeah.
Russ. Yeah. And it was, bro, it was fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fire, bro. I really, I ain't gonna hold you. I definitely benefited from reading that.
What if it was you all along?
Yeah, What If It Was You All Along?
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, nah, it's fire. It's only like probably like almost 200 pages. It was a quick read. I read it in like 2 days. So
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
I'm reading Richard Branson's first book, How I Lost My Virginity, or
Really?
Losing My Virginity.
That's funny. I thought you was gonna say something like the 48 Laws of Power or some shit, and you just said losing my virginity. God damn.
Goddamn. Yeah, Richard
There we
Branson,
go.
man. But it's really good. Obviously, he owns that huge megalith of a company, Virgin, which has all sorts of companies under it. But it's funny listening to him and his life growing up and how young he started being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He actually does talk about how he lost his virginity.
That's actually crazy. That's wild.
But yeah, that one's been good. What's it? What? So you just read that one, but what is like? Do you have a favorite core book that you go back to read for reminders, or?
Yeah, it would definitely be the Bible. I read, man, I couldn't tell you how many times I've read James. I mean, if anybody is listening to this and they've like wanted to read the Bible and they don't know where to start, James is a really good like first like quick book to read. It's probably like 4 or 5 chapters, probably like 7 or 8 pages, but it just talks about like really the things that we go through in life a lot, like temptation, taming the tongue, good and evil, just your word, and you know, just like different stuff like that. For me, it's just like, again, just like staying in the right headspace, you know, and just making sure that I'm just being a vessel, you know, and that and that everything's just coming from the right place. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I read the Bible quite a bit in different phases. I'll read it, and then I'll stop for a while, but I always do come back to it. I was raised in the church. I'm not religious, but I do read a lot of spiritual texts.
Yeah.
Gain wisdom from them, and I recently read Proverbs.
Yeah,
which,
but the book of poems.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 31 chapters or something.
And he really just, I mean, what he talks about in there too is all about like daily grind, daily things of being a good man. And like, this is written such a long time ago. You know, these guys and this King David was dealing with the same stuff we dealing with right now, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What he talks about, I'm like, I relate to that. You know, all these different challenges he felt you went up against as a man, and the choices you should make to be whole, you know.
Yeah,
not lose yourself.
It's crazy too that you just said that, because we all, like, as people, it's kind of crazy. I mean, that we all go through the same, we're all going through like the same thing, just in like different ways, but we're just so like, or I mean, some of us obviously are just so like inauthentic with ourselves and each other. We can't even have like a real conversation about the different stuff that like we're all going through, you know? Like, we're all struggling at some type of level, no matter what level you're on, you know? Like, if you play basketball overseas, like, you have static in your life because you want to be in the league. If you're playing in the league, you got static in your life because you think about your next contract. If you're a max player, you may have static in your life because your family. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all like going through something, you know? So when we are, you know, like when we do have a misstep or you know, like take a step back, or, you know, like whatever, you know, like if we all had I feel like if we all had a different type of dialogue, instead of crucifying somebody, that, you know, I mean, it would just be easier for a whole lot of us to move forward. Yeah.
I agree. I always said too, like, I feel like one of the biggest things is when people, like, one, not being authentic, right, or not being accountable, I think is a big reason for people not being authentic is they can't take accountability for themselves.
Yeah.
They can't admit that they have these faults, and that's derived from their insecurities, and so they always trying to do something to let it be known that they are hiding their insecurities, basically, right? Like, and that's where this lashing out comes from, or it comes from the aspect that a lot of people don't want their beliefs to be tampered with in any type of way. There's obviously been like the negative connotations of Christianity because of certain individuals in churches that are like, oh, if you don't believe in Jesus, you're going to hell. Like what? Like nobody wants to be told that, or whatever the connotations come from all spiritual aspects.
Yeah.
There's negative connotations from all religions, all spiritual aspects. There's anybody, you put people into any situation,
There's
they're going to
negative-
figure out a way to make some negativity come out of
Facts,
it.
yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. So it's, about trying to foster people that have an open understanding. And then at least, the more of us that connect, hopefully it rises to more people awakening to the fact that they can let go of some of these things that they're holding on so tightly that they'll hurt others over it, or they'll hurt themselves inadvertently, what I mean? Like, and so I feel that it's dangerous to believe that the truth of why we're here.
For sure.
That's what I believe causes a lot of separation with people. It's like, why can't we just have the aspect of like, how do you understand your life? How do I understand my life? And where's the common threads between there that we can build on, instead of being like, oh, you believe that? That's fucking crazy, bro. Like, what's wrong with you?
We're so judgmental.
Yeah, like that doesn't serve anybody any good, right? Like that's not gonna cause brotherhood. That's not gonna cause unity, community, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like, I really do try to bring the aspect as best as I can that we're all brothers. Don't matter color of your skin, don't matter your religion, don't matter none of that. I believe we all brothers. Now, there's a point where brotherhood is broken. You know what I mean? And with people I don't know very well, that can be broken a lot easier than with people I do know and really do consider like at a different, I guess, level of brotherhood, right? But I try my best in this world to move around and treat people, even when I don't know them, I call them brother, because it's like, yo, we are here together in this crazy world, like trying to figure it out all together.
Yeah.
Like, I got you, bro. And like my form of calling a random person, though they're not random, like, because I believe deep down we're all much more connected than we even understand.
Yeah.
It's me acknowledging us as a fool. You know what I mean? Like,
And I mean, the other side of that, a lot of the times too, like really just come from hurt. Like if you think about someone that's like isolated or isolating themselves like that, or someone that like if you meet them, then they're standoffish. Like I mean, in a lot of situations, like if I meet someone or if like someone comes into the store and like they seem like they're cool, but they're like being super quiet, that almost kind of lets me know that they're like real in a way. It's like I'm just kind of like guarding my energy a little bit. But I mean, at the same time though, like a lot of that just comes from, just like us, like you just saying, like us protecting our energy from like that hurt, and from those like different situations, but to what you just said, it's like we're all human, we're all going through the same thing. And if we was just, like more like open and open about it, even if it's just to the people like closest to us, like that would go a long way, you know,
Yeah.
because
And
we're all going through stuff for sure.
yeah, I think you made a great point too about it coming from a place of pain. And like my life's a great example of that. You know, like individuals betraying me, and because of that, me turning a lot to being angry and standoffish and like all that, and choosing a life that was very destructive until it brought me to a crux, you know. And I was luckily able to make and start making more intelligent decisions and building my life back outside of those choices I made. And it still is with me today. And I'm still standoffish. I'm still like, I'm not, like I said, I try my best, but I'm not always that dude. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm very like, I don't fuck with this person at all. Like, I don't know why, I just don't like them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I still have that. I still have a part of that mentality that came with a street life mentality. You know what I mean? Where you're very overly guarded. You don't trust nobody. You don't, you know, and rewiring my mind to be like open, loving, and choosing that instead of like those behaviors and that mentality. It's challenging at times, but I know that's the type of man I do need to be.
Yeah.
So I choose to work through that. I choose to go down the road of personal growth and trying to be a good man, a good citizen in the aspects that I see, good community member, you know, treating people well, not taking out my pain on others. Because that's the easy thing to do, right? Like, and that's, I mean, I think that's where really all the dysfunction in the world really derives from is somebody hurt somebody, that person just wants to hurt other people now too. And that's
1,000%.
you know, it's that
And
revolving door.
yeah, and when you obviously like are like when your eyes are open, you can see it like clear as day too. It's like, oh, like this person just like hurt, like you know, or like, oh, like this person just, you know, like you can just tell that it come from a place of like really just like not wanting to get their feelings hurt again, you know, more so than it's just like I don't mess with these people. I don't like these people. Like, da, 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 da. Like, you know, it's like, nah, like, you really just don't like yourself right now, you know? And
100.
yeah. So,
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I just watched this movie with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor last night. And like Gene Wilder, they like end up running into a bunch of rough people throughout the movie. They're in prison for a while. And Gene Wilder's always trying to like go up to like the meanest looking dude and just like he just needs a friend, man. He just needs somebody to just be there for him. And so
for real.
that's what he does, you know. He just like, and Richard Pryor's like, no, bro, like don't mess with that dude. Like stay away from him, man. Don't talk to him.
Nah,
You're
that's
gonna get us in
real.
trouble, man. And
Yeah,
Gene
nah,
just
that's real.
befriends all these people. So
Nah, it's like that. That's kind of like, you know, like when you see someone in like, and they look like they mad, you speak to them and they just like immediately smile.
yeah.
You like, dang, bruh, like, what was up before we started talking? And people just be like, oh, I mean, shit, that's really just my face. You know? And it's like, bruh, like, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, man. Yeah. So we just hit an hour, a little bit over. There any other topics you want to get into, man, or anything about 4 a.m. you want to share further on?
No, not really. Off the top of my head.
Any projects we need to be looking out for, events you got going? Because I know you've done some events lately.
Yeah, I'm not even the type to talk about it. I just like doing it.
You'll know when you know.
Yeah. I just like doing it. If you don't follow the page, follow the Instagram page. It's 4am.spokane on Instagram. And yeah, man, you know, I'm just enjoying the journey, enjoying being out here, enjoying putting smiles on kids and at those faces and helping people pick out clothes and watching people shop, and all of it has just been like such a blessing, bro. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
I appreciate you coming on the podcast, brother.
I appreciate you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
love.
All right, this is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. This chapter was with Christian Jones from 4 a.m. Go check out his store. We'll have his links in the show notes. So until next time, peace.